Hi again guys, as promised I'm back with a tutorial for the Calvin's gear Skewb here. So while I say a little bit about it, let's get it scrambled up here. Not too difficult this one. I, as always, encourage you to try solving it yourself first before watching the tutorial, and if you're struggling with it, just look for a hint perhaps from this video before going away and having another try at your own once you've had sort of got a starting point or whatever. That's the way I usually tutorial videos. If I need to from other people, I just look for the small hint that I need to get past the part, a particular section I might be stuck on, and then go away and give it another go. And I strongly encourage you to do just the same. It's much more satisfying if you can figure things out for yourself, even if it's not the entire puzzle, than being told how to do the whole thing. But anyway, yes, this puzzle isn't actually quite as intimidating as it might look. It's not as difficult as it might first appear, especially as gear puzzles are concerned. And I will explain at the beginning of the solve exactly why that is. So just a few more turns here just to get it thoroughly scrambled. Far too many of my corners are flat right now, so I need to sort that out. I'll also show you how to spot if you've got a skip at any point, because if you don't get it quite lined up right, there is a good chance you'll get a, well, not a good chance, but a chance you'll get a gear skip. I've had one small one-on-one on this so far, and it was the first solve, and after a little while I became certain that it had skipped gear because I couldn't. It became quite obvious, and I'll show you why at the start of the solve here. So the first thing to look at is these edges, these two coloured edges. To begin with, when I first got the puzzle, I thought they were kind of dino cube edges, but if you actually look very closely, I didn't actually notice this until I saw how they were moving rather than actually seeing, but you can see that on the mechanism they are actually attached to the same piece, those three pieces. So they've got the blue and red, the red and white, and the white and blue. They are all attached to the same corner piece there. So they are in fact one piece, so they can never be split up from each other. And in fact the red, white and blue set of three is on the red, white and blue gear piece. So all four of those pieces are actually attached to the same piece. So straight away you've got a kind of clue there as to where you might want to start out. The other thing to notice is these kind of inner corner pieces. If I work my way around on this scrambled puzzle, you will see that even though it's scrambled, all of those inner corner pieces are still on the same face as the corresponding centre colour, and that's because they can never be separated. And again, if you look closely at the mechanism, you will actually see that they are in fact attached to the same piece that this gear is attached to, so they can't ever be separated. So you don't really need to worry about solving those. All you've got to do is worry about getting the big gear onto the correct face, and there's no orientation on those. So actually the most challenging part of this is, once you've got the gears set, is these corners I found. They're kind of like, they work the same as Skewb corners, but the problem is because you can only turn four of the corners, you can't quite solve them the same way as you might do on a Skewb. So I'll show you a method that I've come up with to solve those. So the first step solving this is to get your gear corners correct. Now what you want to do is find, I always start on the white face, same as I do on any cube, to be honest. You're going to solve the corners and the edges in this step. So all I'm going to do, let's start off with the red, white and blue that I've got here. And all you're going to do is just simply turn it. What we're going to use, sorry, let me just turn that back a second. I'm going to use this top face as my white, because I've got white here, and obviously they need to be on the same face. So I need to find a face that they do join on, and there will only be one. So this face here is going to be my white face. So picking one of those white corner gears, just rotate it until the white parts of the edge pieces are on the top face. And sorry, I was going past it there. I was thinking this one was flat, but it wasn't. There are two possible situations. You will either be in a situation where the gear becomes oriented correctly with these edges, or if you'd gone the wrong way, you will find that when the edges are in position that the gear is oriented wrongly, and if that happens, just rotate it around the edges one complete rotation around, and you'll find that they then line up correctly. The gear then lines up correctly with them. Do the same for the left hand piece, so just turn it until you get the white edge pieces on top, and as you can see I've got them on top, but this gear is oriented wrong, so just one more full rotation around for the edges, and you will see that both of those gears are now solved, which leaves us only two more, because as I've said there are only four. So we just do exactly the same on the yellow face. I've already got yellow edges here, but the gear's oriented wrong, so just the same thing again, the edges all the way around, one full rotation, and that will solve the gear as well. And finally the same on this side for the yellow. I don't know what I did there. I seem to have gone too far, but whatever. It's obviously it needs to go one more full rotation around for the yellow edges. They are now solved. The gear's now solved. If you check every other face, you'll find all the edges and gears are solved, gear corners. So the next step is to get the centre gears onto the correct faces. So again, for no particular reason other than that's what I always do, I'm going to start with the white, and it's right opposite the one it needs to be on. So all we're going to do is simple kind of edge piece series, is sort of up, up, down, down, or something similar, up, down, whatever. So what I can do in this situation where it's completely opposite, especially when it's the first one, I'm not worried about disturbing any other solved ones. If I bring this red one up to the green face, I can then swap the white one down to that face where the red one was, which is the correct face, and then bring that back down and take that back up, if that makes sense. So let me show you what I mean. If I do one rotation, brings the red gear up to this face, and remember this is where the white needs to be, so I just bring that white gear down by using this top right hand corner. I can then bring the white gear down to the white face, which will resolve that corner gear, and doing a clockwise turn on this corner will take everything back to the right position with the edges and this gear corner, leaving my white gear in position. If I'd been in a situation where it was just, let me just actually create a situation like that rather than saying if. So it's more likely situation is that it's just 90 degrees out, it's not all the way opposite, it's just one face out. So in that situation, all I need to do is move the gear out of the way, because what we're going to do is bring this red gear up to that face and then slot the white gear in a similar way with what we've just done. So I'm actually going to move the white gear to the top face first, bring this red gear up to where the white gear was, bring the white gear back down to this face, and take it down to the correct position. Notice every time I'm using 4 moves, a sequence of 4 moves, no matter which position it comes from. And you're moving 2 different corners, and each corner goes clockwise then anti-clockwise, or anti-clockwise then clockwise, so you're always returning it to its starting position. So purely at random, what we'll do, we'll take our green gear that's on the top face, and we need to bring this down to the orange face. So the way I'm going to do this, I can't do it quite the same because I will, as I've just done, because I will probably disturb the white one that we've already solved. So what we're going to do is a kind of down, down, up, up situation. So I'm going to move this gear down because it brings we want the first turn now to bring the gear into its correct position. So move that down, and then move the opposing gear down, which moves it off of the green face momentarily. But that, oops, gone past the right position. But that allows me to move this gear, return this gear to its starting position without unsolving that green gear as such, and then returning this gear to its starting position returns the green gear to the right face. The white gear is still intact, and as is most likely, I think this is automatic, I don't know for definite. You've also got one of the gear solved, and you will find that you now have just 3 gears out of position. I could be wrong about that, it could just be that I haven't encountered all the situations yet. So all we want now is to do a 3 cycle on these centre gears to have all those solved. So again, we're going to do an up, up, down, down here, and the first turn is going to put the yellow gear onto the top face to solve it. And as I do an up on this one, I will then do up on this one and then down, down, and that will cycle these 3 gears around. Again, the first turn should solve a gear onto the top face there. Otherwise you'll end up, if I did it with putting the blue onto the top face first, the yellow would actually come across here, and I could just do it again. Repeat the cycle would actually solve it then, but it was coming from this side instead. But because it's on the left, I start with the left hand gear and do up, up, down, down, and as you can see, all the centre gears are now solved, and all I'm left with are my corners to solve. Now there are several situations possible here, but all we're going to do is, the first thing we need to do is get them into the correct position. We're not going to worry about orientation for the moment, just get them into the correct position. Now if you have any experience with like a master Skewb, you might always have a good idea how to do this. There's a sequence of moves that will swap these 2 corners and these 2 corners. So I'm looking at the corner that's closest to me on the top face, the corner furthest away, the corner at the bottom left, and the corner at the bottom right. So the 2 on the top swap with each other, the 2 on the bottom swap with each other in this sequence. So what you want to do is rotate your cube around until you find a position. It's not necessarily going to be mine. I've got the white face and the yellow face need to swap. You may find it's the 2 on the orange face and the 2 on the red face that need to swap to get them in the correct position, or something along those lines. Anything, it could be on any face, but either way, at some point, as you look around the cube, you will find a situation where swapping the 2 top face pieces with each other and the 2 bottom face pieces with each other will put them all 4 corners, remember there are only 4 of these, into the correct place. Again, we're not worrying about the orientation, all we're worrying about is the position at the moment. So the white, blue and orange will go to there, the white, red and green will come to here, and that's what I need. The yellow, blue and red will go across here where it belongs, and of course the final piece will back over here where it belongs. And this is a very simple sequence. All we're going to do is that up, up, down, down sequence 3 times. Now if you remember, as we were solving the centre gears, I said if you did the wrong one first, it will come across here, and doing it a second time would bring it to the top, while doing it a third time will take everything back exactly where it started from, and that's, but it also swaps these 4 gears. So starting on left or right, it doesn't matter, just go up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, and one last time, up, up, down, down. And once again, notice that every time we turn a gear, we also return it clockwise, then anti-clockwise, or anti-clockwise, then clockwise, so it's always going to return to its starting position. So now what we're left with is all our 4 corners in the correct position. Some are oriented correctly, some are oriented incorrectly. Alright then, so at this point you'll be in a situation, well, one of 4 possible situations as far as I'm aware. One of which I hadn't encountered before, and it turns out to be the one that I'm in now, which is why I had to pause the video there for momentarily to go away and study this. But I think this is probably the trickiest one as well. But this is good. It means I can cover more things in the tutorial, especially something that I wasn't already going to cover, and it's given me a better understanding of the puzzle too. So anyway, you've got 4 possible situations, as I said. The first one is this one, where you've got just one of the corners oriented correctly. The second one is a situation where you've got none of these corners oriented correctly. The third one is a situation where you've got 2 oriented correctly, and the final one is the solved state. They're all oriented correctly, and because they're all in the correct position at the moment, that obviously means it's solved. And as it turns out, solving it from this position, where you've got just one oriented correctly, necessarily takes you through all of the other stages as well, so that works out very nicely. So I'm going to show you a little algorithm, which is not difficult, and what it does, it rotates 2 corners. It rotates the 2 corners that are on the bottom face. So what we're going to do, we're going to have the top face with the one corner close to us, and one corner furthest away to us, and it's the algorithm you've already seen for swapping the corners, but we're doing it twice. So on the top face, this doesn't rotate the corners at all. It will swap them with each other, and then when we do it the second time, it will swap them back again. On the bottom face, however, it rotates this piece. Hang on, let me think about this for a second. It rotates this piece clockwise. The one on the left goes clockwise, and the one on the right goes anti-clockwise, or counterclockwise, as you Americans say. So we can use this to orient all the pieces. Now, when you're in this situation with just one oriented correctly, it varies depending which way the pieces are rotated as to exactly how you set it up. If you'll find all 3 pieces that are wrong are rotated the same. So you can see at the moment, all of my pieces are rotated anti-clockwise. So this one, if I turn it, let me just try that again. It's rotated clockwise, so it needs to turn 1 step anti-clockwise to solve. And if you look at the other 3, you'll find that this one needs to rotate anti-clockwise to solve, and the final one also needs to rotate anti-clockwise to solve. And you'll either have that, or all 3 need to rotate clockwise 1 step to solve. So if all your pieces need to rotate anti-clockwise, what we're going to start with is the solved corner at the bottom left, and one of our unsolved corners at the bottom right. And obviously we've got 2 unsolved corners on the top here. If they happen to need to go clockwise rather than anti-clockwise, we would start with the unsolved corner at the bottom left, and the solved corner on the bottom right is still, of course, 2 unsolved pieces at the top. But because mine need to go anti-clockwise, we start with the unsolved piece at the bottom right and the solved piece at the bottom left. 1 corner towards you, 1 corner away from you. And all we're going to do is that same up, up, down, down 3 times algorithm. That's how we're going to start off anyway. So we start off with the right hand side, and we do up, up, down, down, and we're going to do it 3 times. I don't think I said that. So up, up, down. Not lined up right, I don't think. There we go. Down, down, up, up, down, down. That's swapped our 2 there and 2 there, and what we're going to do is a 180-degree turn of the cube and just repeat the same thing again. So starting on the right hand side again, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. Okay, so now what we've got, as you can see, is all 4 of the corners are still in the correct position. We haven't changed the position of them, but we've now got 4 that are incorrectly placed. And this is the second case that I mentioned. So if you happen to come across this, what you need to find are a pair where one needs to rotate clockwise and one needs to rotate anti-clockwise on the same face. So just look around until you find that. So you can see, if I do it on the white face, this piece needs to rotate clockwise, this piece needs to rotate anti-clockwise. So they need to go on the bottom. I want the piece that wants to go anti-clockwise on the left hand side, the piece that needs to go clockwise on the right. So remember, the top 2 won't rotate, they'll just swap with each other and then swap back again. This one in this sequence will rotate anti-clockwise and this one will rotate clockwise. We're just going to do it exactly the same as we just did in the previous step if there was only one rotated incorrectly. So again, starting on the right hand side, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, and once again we rotate the cube 180 degrees, keeping yellow as our top face if that's the face that we started with on top, and do this exactly the same again. So starting with the right face, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. So as you can see, I've still got my 2 unsolved corners on the top face here, but the 2 on the white face are now solved. And I'm sure you can imagine now exactly how we've solved these last 2. We're just going to repeat the previous process. So we have the one that needs to rotate anti-clockwise on the left hand side, the one that needs to rotate clockwise on the right hand side. You'll always have that when you've got 2 incorrect. One needs to go anti-clockwise, one needs to go clockwise. If you started with it on the other side, you'd have to do it twice. But if you do accidentally get the wrong side, then all you've got to do is do this sequence, this whole thing twice, and it will solve it. But yes, the one that goes anti-clockwise goes on the left, the one that goes clockwise goes on the right. It's kind of easy to remember because if you think clockwise, the hands of the clock would go to the right past 12, so you need the clock, when you want it clockwise, it goes on the right, and anti-clockwise goes on the left because it would go left past 12 if it was going anti-clockwise. So it's kind of easy to remember that way around. So one final time, this is the final situation you can with the third and final case that I mentioned earlier, and just do exactly what we've done before. So starting with the right, up, down, down 3 times, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, and as before, rotate the top layer 180 degrees, or the whole cube 180 degrees, keeping the top face the same is what I meant there really. And one final time, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. And if you've done it correctly, you will now find that your puzzle is solved. So there you go, guys. As I said, not a hugely challenging puzzle. If you can solve the Skewb, then you've got a good chance of solving this. If you're familiar with kind of basic Skewb solving techniques, you'll know you'll do that up, up, down, down thing. Is pretty much all you need to solve a Skewb, and as you saw, that's pretty much all I use in the solving of this puzzle as well. So yeah, I encourage you to have fun, play around with it, and you'll see that this is actually very much like a regular Skewb to solve. It's just a slight extra challenge with the gearing and the way it looks, but it's actually not. And it's really more like the fact that you're limited to the turns you can make. You've only got 4 turns instead of the normal 8. That makes things a bit different. So yeah, I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please click like and subscribe or share my videos to help get my videos seen by other people. And thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care now. Bye bye.